actually live. Let's soon
If
find
it says
out.
live, it should pop up here.
All right. Well,
Mine still says waiting for WAYPN reviews.
Still waiting.
it says like they show on the screen.
Okay, wait. Let me just close this tab and
reopen.
Reopen.
Yeah, all right. I'll wait for you.
Now we're live. Okay.
Well,
if Kit says we're live, he's probably correct.
take a
Yeah,
it
look. Says it's live.
Let's see.
There it is.
Do you hear us? Where are we?
Yeah, we can hear.
All right. Well, let's start again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Weekly WAYPN. I'm Karl.
I'm Sunny.
AKA
Henry and Sangita.
All right. Let's get to it. So first up, we've got Kit.
Hooray!
All right. Do you want to read out for Kit?
Print. No, I can't.
All right. Well, Kit, you got to read quick. Go, Kit, go.
Hey, I gotta find the damn post now. All I see is a picture.
Prince Aiden.
Prince Adeline. Prince Adeline.
All right. Got to get it done. It's done.
Is that okay?
Everything's done.
Moving on to the next post. Oh,
right.
no.
All right. So the thing that I think looks good about it is obviously there is some contrast of kind when we take a look at those hard surfaces down below and the nice soft fabrics, but not just that, we've also got some variation in color, which we have not been seeing with a lot of these models. I know that you are being accurate to the books, but yeah.
This is definitely much better.
Yes, yeah. All right, so I think it's better. I like the skin work. I think the sword needs something.
A little bit of shine,
yeah. Yeah, like.
And that's the tricky part, because not knowing the list of these swords, they're not steel. They're not. These are like essentially spirits. They basically summon these when they need them. They're basically bonded sprins.
Yeah, but you still gotta.
Really weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I guess because if you're looking at it, it's a sword, then it's gotta be a sword. So.
Right,
yeah.
Right, yeah. It's a tough choice between. Oh, do I make them like really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
All right. So
next we got Lance. Lance, balance between good and evil. How often the scales are tipped? Is it? Or I guess she like a.
So I've done this model before,
yeah.
And one of the hardest things with these models is actually making sure that you keep the transparency with these, which I think he did very well, because often what will happen is if you're going to prime these up and that sort of thing, you'll lose all the transparency. I think it looks decent. I don't think it's the best work of his, mostly because I think he went a bit soft with the basing here. But I do think that the dark skin comes out well. I do like the way that he's done the gold. The flame on the head is actually by them as well. It's transparent paint, but I don't think it comes through as much with that one. Is there anything that you've got to say on it?
I actually prefer the flame on the head versus the flame on the wings.
Yeah.
But like as far as painting over transparency goes, this is pretty good.
Yeah, well, I don't think he did any painting over it. I think he left it. I'm not sure.
No.
Either way.
It was originally like clear plastic.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, you painted over it as well.
Oh, okay. All right then. Well,
yeah.
Let us move on to the next.
Larry.
Yep. And he has been working on the, I do believe this is Frankenstein?
Zombie? Oh, no. Frankenstein, maybe, yeah. Did highlights on the skin, added an eyeball, painted and highlighted the hair and vest. Might go a little higher on the vest highlight. Didn't want to push the hair any more red, as I like how it looks now. Just did a base coat on the pants and chain. Thought about pushing the skin a little more blatantly white, but I thought it would drown out the shades and subtleties too much. Anyway, it's progress.
Yeah, I think it's looking good. I mean, like, it works. It does exactly what it's meant to do. But, of course, this is a work in progress, so we're going to move on to the next post. But this is what you do, folks. You show that, and one of the things that I do want to compliment Larry on is the fact that he shows the stuff that he's been using so that you can copy that if you want to.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we have...
We've got Kit once again.
Yes, doing a whip. And we're doing...
Was that Vinley?
Yeah, doing some blocking in for that. And that's what you do. You've got to just take it each step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the times all you do is you get in your blocking. And other days you get in everything. All right, next up we've got more whip stuff. You want to read out quickly for Joseph?
Yeah, Joseph.
I think maybe not all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, just read until whatever I can. More color help wanted, as I can make very poor choices when not benefiting from studio art as a guide. Flesh is done, and dress is almost base coated with Reaper Nightshade Purple. Dress color scheme will be done with paint in picture 2. Picture 3 contains the gold I plan on using for her shoulders and the dress trim around her chest. I'm thinking green for the eyes, picture 3. Different blacks for the hair and stockings. So I guess he's just looking to see if it works.
Well, there's one thing that I would like to ask him to consider, which is, have you considered her actually having her eyes closed? Because I actually think that looks the best that way. I do think that it will be very hard to sort of judge the purples until we actually see it done up.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, all we've got is it blocked out, and I think you're going to have to make a lot of the choices with the fabrics rather than just working with it from what I can see there.
Yeah, and I think once he adds in the highlights of the different purples, just subtly, so it still looks like a dark purple that shimmers like a violet in the light, I think that'll really add to the sexy vibes of this model.
Alright, great. Well, let's move on. And we have a little more whip on this one. So you were doing in the face work and such, and some you call it the skin marbling. But yeah.
Yeah, they're like
so then next we have a bit more of a whip on this one.
Yeah, the gold is nice.
The golds have come through nicely. But I don't think there's much. Oh, hold up. The purples are coming in a lot more.
Yeah, it doesn't look as black as before. Now it looks like a dark purple.
But I think maybe this could be pushed a bit more.
Just
but
a teeny bit
not a lot. Mostly
just
around
only
here.
The highest point, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like this base purple is perfect, I think.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, look at that.
Like if you take a look at exactly where the light is hitting on her back.
Yeah.
Only highlight wherever you see the white spots, and I think you're good to go. It'll look like that sort of silk.
Yeah,
look.
no, like beyond doing the stockings, she looks very much done already. She's already on the way. Yeah. All right, so next up we've got Lance.
Something a bit different. Linen jacket I wanted on natural highlights, only natural highlights, not painted or washed. What do you think?
Okay, so when he says only natural highlights, I think what he's doing is he's highlighting himself without the aid of a wash. And I think that that's a good thing. I think that that's a great way to go, right? Instead of relying on washes and such. But this is the thing that I think Lance needs to learn, because I think Lance does good work, but I think he needs a guide. The biggest thing with this guy is those whites need to be pushed, but the other problem is this is one of the worst models, one of the worst colors, I should say, to start with when you're trying to push your highlighting.
Oh, yes.
Because it's very hard to learn, and two, it's very hard to photograph right. So we might actually be giving inaccurate advice based off the real life model, because the whites might not be it
might not be accurate in the picture.
Yeah.
It does definitely looks a bit cream. Sorry, Kid, did you want to say something?
No, sorry, no. Just took a drink of coffee.
Oh, okay. It's alright. Yeah, it's like a cream color, I can tell.
Yeah,
it's very bright.
And I think that so what I would really like to see from you, Lance, is if we could see another picture where you're doing what you call natural highlighting, and we'll see how that looks when it's not white or black.
Yeah.
And I think that will be a better place for us to judge, because what we don't want to do is give somebody the bum drum when they're trying to level up.
Yeah.
Alright, next up.
We've got Chris
Yep.
Shah. Warp Fire Dragon I smashed out over the weekend. First full non-test model oil wash. Used magenta on the dragon and black or brown on the pillar. Do the wings look too monocolor? I could potentially glaze some of the turquoise colors on the bony knuckle bits on the wings to add some extra color contrast, but not sure if it would actually look good or just add visual noise. Also, hard to photograph such a tall model.
Yeah, I can understand the hard to photograph such a tall model. Just try your best on that one. So, Sunny, what are your thoughts
I really
on the
love
wings?
the wings.
You love them?
I think the sort of blending and the contrast with from the shadow to the light color, I think it's very well done. It definitely catches my eye a lot. Um, I think I like the head as well. The blues came in nicely. I can see that he's trying to do a bit of a fade between the flesh tone to the blues. I think it's very clean.
I really like the fades of the blue to pink, right? I think that's where the strength of the model is. I'm not as certain about the wings, but that's mainly because I do agree with him. I think they are a bit monotone, right? Think about it in terms of this model. Would it work as much if you didn't have those fades here? Would it work if you didn't have all of that you were working with? So what I might do is try and have some sort of differentiator between the wings and all of these bone areas. So think about it this way, right?
Oh yeah, you could definitely paint those bonings. It's like a bone color or something different.
Well, potentially, but like the flesh is really quite taut along those areas. So think about how that might be different. So the wings could be darker or something like that. Or maybe you could do a blend like you have with the blue and give some visual interest to it. So I want to talk about the pillar for just a second. I think that the pillar is great, mate. You've done really, really well with the pillar. And on the topic of basing, I think that you've done very well with your basing, but the one problem that I have with all of it is that all of your plants are sitting a bit too high. Like, if you take a look at all of this, Sunny, right? You see what I'm saying? They're sort of floating on it. You could, of course, put some more layers of basing over, but I don't think that would work right now. But consider next time, when you're going to do basing, leaving areas for your plants. Like, if you're going to use big plants like this, so they don't feel like they're popping out of like they
sprouted out out of nowhere.
Yeah, like that they're a part of the environment that's there, because they feel like they're floating on top. And I'm not having a go or anything, but I'm just saying that's one of the things that you could work on, because you have obviously put a lot of work into the rest of it. So consider putting that extra bit of work into your basing, because it will help show your talent. All right, moving on to the next.
We've got Larry once again.
Yes, and so Larry has just got him all assembled, and that's part of the process, guys. It is good to see all of the process. It's good to see things moving along, but we are going to move along until we see the stuff done. So, is this one done up, Kit? I pressed the wrong button.
No, the Vinley one again? No, I actually never even posted a finished picture. That's the last picture ever I put up.
Yeah. So just some more whips. All right, cool. Yep. So, and that's part of the process, guys. Like I just said with Larry, look, post your stuff up, right? And the thing is that we might not give commentary on the whips unless there's stuff that we see where we go, all right, that needs to be changed. Speaking of which, I think that you might need some color differentiation when it comes to the base. I know it's not finished, but do you have a plan to have a different color for the base, or is it going to be this gray color?
Oh no, that was just I was preparing it to throw it on speed paint, so it's got the same kind of.
Yep. So you're just getting the values done. All right, no problem.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we've got some more by Kit. Can you read that one out?
Yeah, we're looking at hardtack.
Yeah.
And now for something completely different, hardtack from Agents of Mayhem, Pride of Babylon. Fun little mini for a quick 20-minute or so paint job.
Yeah, I think it's come up really well for a 20-minute paint job. Like, if you want to do things up quickly, I think that I'd be very happy with. Particularly the orange. I think the orange has come up really
nice.
well.
Yeah, I love the orange.
And Penguin also likes the dragon wings, and he's saying, are you sponsored by Ammo, or do you just like their products?
I think that one was
It was
aimed
very
at
for-
you,
yes.
Kit. All right. So
Yeah.
we'll move on if my
Yeah.
computer will allow it, because it seems like it's having a heart attack
Yeah,
now
so we've
because I
got-
clicked on things. All right.
Joseph.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Wow. Oh no, he decided he'd paint the eyes.
Yep.
Someone brought his head.
Oh, sorry.
Nope.
No-
Okay, yeah, so Ophelia. 3D print from Bellanact, all done. I really like the purple and gold. The flesh looks blotchy up close, which is a shame. I need to learn more practice. Oh, sorry. I need to get more practice with thinning my paints on my wet palette. I don't use it much. I know the eyes aren't great, but I redid them a few times and each was worse than the last. This was passable, so I cut my losses and called her done.
Yeah, well, so one of the things that I might suggest when it comes to the skin is getting your base color, really thinning it out, and then painting all over the skin areas that you've got, which will sort of help blend all of that highlighting that you've done. Because currently, like you said, that the highlights look a bit splotchy, and that will help blend things together. It's just like how when people use an airbrush to sort of blend things together after they do harsh highlights with the brush.
Yeah.
And like that's one of the things that you might want to consider. I think that the models come up great. I think basing, as per always done very well. I like the belts and the straps and such. And one of the things that I want to compliment him on is how well he's done the black highlighting. I think that the black highlighting has come up really well. But I want us to take a look at the back of the dress for a moment, and I think it's come up really well. We do see some of those highlights that we were hoping for, but I think it could be pushed a little
bit
more.
I would agree.
Yeah, but overall, I'd be really happy with this model.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, so let's see if it's working. It is working now. So next up. Oh, this? Yeah. Okay, no problem.
Alright.
So
Larry
yes.
started a Dracula Crimson with.
This is the one that I thought was Magneto for some reason. But anyway, continue, please.
Fair enough. Yeah, Crimson with Naphthol Red from a higher angle. The bats make the figure fragile. Tweezers here to hold them while re-gluing. Yeah, re-gluing for I think the third time. Sword is fragile at the hilt at the bottom of the hand. Not sure what I'll do if that breaks.
That would be insanely frustrating for me.
This is a GW model, right? No.
Dracula is not a GW product.
Okay.
So we will move on, but it's a really good start. And what I do like is that he's saying, look, I have these problems. If you have these problems, it's okay too.
Yeah. And
all right.
We've got some more.
Yep.
Since I had plenty of Naphthol Red in the airbrush, I laid some down on this mech and the banner carried by Gazgul's favorite goblin. The metallic I had dry brushed on the mech previously helped give the red a nice candy touch. Yeah, I saw this and I was like, ooh, candy red.
Yes, and of course we can't go on without Penguin commenting on a mech.
Yes, of course. I'm just waiting for it to come in. What does Penguin say?
Well, he's already made a comment in one of the pictures saying that he didn't recognize the mech. All right. So next up, we've got Kit.
All right.
Do we have?
Yeah. I don't know.
Kit's
there, but he's muted. No, I'll just read it. Oh yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, since hardtack was such a quick and fun paint, I decided to go ahead and get the rest of his team ready for paint. The purple base might seem like an odd choice, but in the context of the game, it makes sense.
Alright, what does the purple do?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear him. Can you not hear him?
No, I cannot.
He's been talking the whole time.
Right now?
Not right now, but he was previously.
Instead of the harpoon.
Hey, can you hear?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. Well, yeah, so what is the context for the purple? Hello? I think, he's
I think I'm having some connection issues or someone, yeah.
That's all right. We'll just move on.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
Okay.
So next up, we have James, and I have to say a big apology to James. Unfortunately, it got some not so good news, and I couldn't well, I could have seen him, but I would not have been in a productive mood yesterday. Or productive at all. So big apology regarding that, James. And I'll try and fix that up in the near future. So, could you read out for James, please?
So I will be trying to finish my Mass Effect board game miniatures by the end of this week. Hopefully. So to keep me painting between now and the start of my holiday this year, I will be painting these aliens from the Void Cedars. Are you sure it's Void Cedars?
Yeah, no, it says it on there. Void Cedar Attack.
So right, expansion from the Nemesis board game. After reading the rules for the expansion, they are apparently psychic monsters that inflict nightmares upon the players and drive them insane. Okay, so I see what type of seeding they are doing. And that is...
we're going to move on. We're going to play our music.
Remember Monday.
Alright, so I will read this out very quickly, if it'll come good. Alright, it's Member Monday, hashtag Member Monday. What makes a digital place, and why do I ask this question every single week? Because when it comes to your home, the area you aren't choosing it in the same way you are choosing a digital place. You choose to be here, and your interactions build this place. And I don't know about you, but I'm really happy with the place we have built together. So let me call upon you once again, and let us welcome our new members. And the reason why I always go on and on about this, guys, is because it is you and your interactions that make a place. Alright, so next up, we have Hollywood with Kit Strong.
Starting on Hollywood, yeah. The faces.
Yep.
Alright, and you're just blocking in some colors, and that's part of it, guys. Look, when it comes to this, the whole reason that we have this up here is because you don't start finished, right? There's a whole process, but we're gonna move on as we've got more whips. Alright, it is Talk Tuesday, and if you want me to help keep you accountable, just leave a comment in here and I'll tag you in the next post, because the whole thing is that what I am doing is helping you keep yourself accountable to you. I'm not here out to rouse on anybody. It's opt-in, alright? So if you want to, make sure that you feel accountable, just pop in there. Alright, so next up, we've got another whip by Larry.
Not much work I can show off for today. Just a chain for the monster, graphite for the base coat, graphene dry brushed upward for shading, and Nekar dry brushed downward for highlights, with a grease oil wash to deepen the link separations, with a touch of light rust and some spot oil washing of rust to age it up.
Yeah, and I think it does exactly what it's meant to do. So I just wanted to have a quick word on this after you speak. Kit, you want to read out for this one?
This morning's excitement, airbrush practice, specifically working on trigger control and perfecting my mixtures of thick ionic paints for low pressure spraying through my 0.2x equipped Harder and Steinbeck Infinity. It may not be glamorous or pretty to look at, but I find it enjoyable.
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. A lot of what is important about painting is the non-glamorous parts. So doing this, learning your brush control, right? A lot of this sort of thing is what helps you learn, right? When you're trying to get smooth lines, when you're trying to get directionality, when you're trying to do all of those sorts of things. Fix your spidering, get all of your mixes right. This is what helps you. It's never that extravagant finish that you've spent 17 hours on, right? Because no matter how many glazes you put on, it's not going to help perfect your brushwork. It's going to be those hours and hours of painting the mind-numbing details.
Yeah.
Doing that extra highlight on the 300th skull that you've done.
Or re-gluing something for the third time.
Yeah.
And hoping that it doesn't
and it's part of the process. Don't be frustrated by it. Just learn that it's part of the process. So next up, we've got Kit. Is this one, are you just blocking in the colors on this one again, Kit?
It's a little further than that, but yeah, I haven't. I needed to do like all the metallic bits and stuff, but it's
So this one's not yet finished. I think that this one's got
nah.
some great color contrast, unlike a lot of the Weatherlight series. Is it
Stormlight. Yeah.
Stormlight?
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
So I think that like you've got all of these nice reds up here, including the skin, and then you've got that dull green down the bottom, which really helps contrast it. And of course, you've got this ever so slightly blue grey here in the middle, which helps contrast that. So I think the color choices are good. All right, moving on. Oh no, it's me, and it's time for everybody to give me a hard time.
I love the dogs.
All right,
Doggies are great.
It's Whip Wednesday. Hashtag Whip Wednesday. I have been painting doggos between commissions. They are for me and tabletop level. I couldn't help myself with the bases though. What are you painting now? Make a post about it. Now, if any of our guests wants to comment on these, feel free.
The doggos look great, man. They're awesome.
Thanks.
They look like they're a lot of fun too, so that's always a plus. I think I actually have those files and have not printed any of them yet.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's just I think I've got the name of the file here somewhere. What I will do is I will get it on the Discord, and then I will put it up. If people would like to get it, I'll show them where they can get it, because I think it's well worth it. But yeah, I really liked doing all these guys up. I think that they came up great. And also, who doesn't like dogs? I'll tell you who. Terrorists.
Dexter.
You know?
Dexter it doesn't like the dogs.
And he's a murderer, so there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Alright,
Penguin says the dogs look great. Vulcan will boop all the snoots and give them treats. I'm sure he will.
And look at that. There's somebody's posted pictures of their prints there. But yeah, I have to say these are really great files. If you want them, Ishmael Pandero?
Ismael. Yeah, Ismael Panadero Garcia.
I can do Garcia. Garcia I can do. But yeah, if you guys want some just files for just plain old dogs.
Doggos. I'm a dishooned.
Yes, they're absolutely fantastic.
What is this dog?
That is a pit bull, I believe. No, not a pit bull. Not a pit bull. That's a
Rhodesian?
No, it's not a Rhodesian Ridgeback. Rhodesian Ridgebacks look closer to cattle dogs than they do to something like this. I forgot. A Bull Terrier, that's him.
Bull Terrier.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yes, they will.
I like the bases because I said that they look like they'd be walking in a nice little cobblestone park.
Yes, it's meant to be the in-between of the both fantasy and the sci-fi of Frost and Stargrape, because they can be used in both. All right, next up, we've got Kit Strong. And you're doing up some more Conan models. Would you like to read out?
Yeah, Whip Wednesday, then versus now. I just primed a couple of Conan minis to paint up and compare them to the first batch I did back 4+ years ago when I was just getting into painting. It's really only been the past year or so that I've actually started painting with any real consistency. I have a suspicion that once I'm done with these two, the original two will be getting stripped along with the other heroes I did back then.
I don't think you should.
The guy in the front are one.
Yeah, I don't think you should strip them though, because I think you should have them as a point of comparison for yourself, because like they're serviceable as models, right? If you do their bases, I think they'll be fine, right? They're not great, but the thing is, if you're able to have that thing where you can compare yourself to where you are to where you were, I think that that's really good for yourself. Having the ability to do that, I think, is very important.
Yeah, but I have a couple of generic enemy monsters that are also painted to a similar quality that I can keep for that comparison.
You
Because
could.
I have I have a whole bunch more Conan stuff coming soon, and we'll probably be playing it a lot. So I would like them to be a little nicer.
Yeah, you could, but I think it's good to have like one-to-one comparisons. All right, so
Yeah.
next up we've got Chris Shah.
Finish the sorcerer on Steed for the next old world army, and I love the contrast on the front view. Like you can see all those very nice highlights with the robe and also the horse's cloak thingy. I think it came out quite
I'm
nice.
not sure what we call this cloak thingy.
Yeah.
All right, but
I think he sounds about right.
yeah.
But I do think that the horse is a bit too close to the color of the cloak as well. It's a black horse.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think, yeah, you know what? I'll agree with that, but only because I think that he really pushed the highlights with the black, and when he pushed the highlights with the black, that caused the issues.
Yeah, he should have gone into the browns rather than the blues for the black. Yeah,
no, I don't necessarily.
It's a blue
tone. I just think that he pushed the highlights too far with the black, right? I think if he had have kept it a mid, like used neutral grays, I think it would have been okay.
Yeah, neutral grays or like I think browns.
I don't think browns. I think if you want to keep the color the black, right?
Yeah.
I understand. You want to push the highlights, and pushing the highlights is usually good, but there is a slight blue tone to it, and Sunny's right with that. I do think that it looks good, but there is one thing that I want to point out once again. So this bit right here, right? So take a look at that tuft right there. It just looks so out of place. I know that that's something that you're trying to use for your theming, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with trying to have a consistent theme. But take a look at how this thing looks on the base, and it looks so out of place compared to some of the other tufts here. I think these tufts don't feel as if they've just been stuck on as much, but that one, you wanted to say something?
No, yeah, I think it's because the back ones are just too tall and they look sort of like the floaty look to it, like you said. And I think if it were, that would be great if he was trying to go for like a field of like wheatgrass look, but.
Well, I think that you could, in fact, just fix this up by putting some of your dirt mixture
and maybe a little more smaller tufts in and around.
Potentially,
to give a bit of that
yeah. So it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. But I do think, honestly, just adding some more of your ground mixture, that would be the biggest thing. I take a look at all of the rest of it. Very cohesive, very much like the color scheme. I think that you've got great contrast between the face, the horns, all of that rest of it. But I do agree with Sunny that there's not enough contrast between the colors of the horse and its cloak thingy, as we're calling it. So yeah. All right. So next up we have
Kit once again.
So next up we've you want to read it out?
Whip Wednesday. Spent a few minutes with the airbrush doing a quick zenithal, then establishing the base skin tones for Balthus and Conan.
Yep, and so you're just getting in there, getting the skin tones done. And that's one of the things with whips, guys. That's the big thing. You want to be able to see your progress and that sort of thing. It's important to be able to see your progress. All right, so next up, we have more from Kit. All right, so would you like to read that out?
Yeah, I was just make sure we're looking at this. Okay, same thing. Is this the phone thing? He just discovered that in the iPhone camera app, I can long press on a mini, and it does a pretty good job of isolating the model from everything. Then you can just copy and paste it, which apparently you've been able to do for ages, and I didn't know about it.
That's all right. Not everybody knows about everything, so
I think this is good for some people who might want to just do a quick.
Yep.
Isolation. That is provided you have an iPhone.
All right. Would you be able to read out for James?
They do it on apparently Androids do it as well. So yeah.
Okay, so think of this as a rough draft of a book that I have just handed you. I'm trying to lock down the paint scheme for my new Nemesis models, and I did this test paint tonight. It's very basic. I included the paints that I used with the models, and in the third picture I included the colors I was thinking of using. Thoughts, anyone?
Alright, well let's take a proper look at him. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit more so that we're about as close as we can be. So this is what we call an analogous color scheme. Could you explain that, Sonny?
So these are just colors that are directly next to each other on the color wheel. So you've got, blue is next to purple and purple is next to red. So this is an analogous color scheme.
So the only thing that I would say is, when it comes to it, I'd say most, if not all of it, is really good color choices. So this pinkish red helps separate the purples of the flesh. Now, what I would look at is when it comes to this scale area here, try a different color, maybe not this pinkish red, but instead maybe like a deep red, because at the moment what we have is we've got the flesh color, and that's very similar to this color. So similar that you're not going to have that level of differentiation. And that's one of the things that you want to do. I think that the blue blades come up really well. I like the skin.
You could even try like a burgundy, because like that's like a reddish purple color, and that won't like distract too much from the purples that he's using.
So I'll throw back to the favorite that I've been doing for a while, which is Galvorback Red. I think would be a good color choice. You don't necessarily have to use that exact paint, but you'll be able to see it in the shop and you'll be able to use that. But I think that these color choices are really good, and what I think it also does is this shows how much James has grown as a painter, because he's like, all right, I'm no longer just using speed paints, and I know like roughly what I want to do, but I want to get that feedback still. And I think like that's great that he's used an analogous color scheme for these, because it's quite natural, but the analogous color scheme that he's used is along the purple red, which isn't seen that much in nature. So it does feel quite alien though.
Yeah.
So I think really well done there. But of course, please take those bits of feedback that we've let on. So we've got another from Kit.
Whip Wednesday. This is coming along quickly.
I quite like this one.
Yeah.
The hair is a bit on the yellow side for the blonde, but but I think all the elements are very well picked out. Gives me very Link vibes.
It does feel very Linkish, but one thing that I would recommend for blonde hair is avoid yellow, because yellow essentially makes it feel very cartoony. What I use for blonde hair is Steel Legion Drab, Xandri Dust, Morghast Bone, Ushabti Bone, and then I think it's called Wraithbone or something like that. Essentially move along the sand colors. Yeah. Right? Rather than the yellows, because the yellows will make it feel quite unnatural. And like everything else is naturalistic on this miniature. So you've got some nice brown boots, some greens, everything here looks quite natural. So your eye goes straight to the high intensity yellow. It does. And like that could be good if it was, for example, say a fiery redhead. Right? But when it comes to yellow, it makes people drawn out of the miniature like Superman's glasses.
Right, so we will... Oh, this is an interesting model.
Yeah, I remember this this head from the old mutant kit. Alright, would you like to read out?
Chris, a test model for my non-character models. Requirements: base coat plus 1 speed paint on major surfaces. No highlights except the zenithal from the metallic airbrush. Speed paint pooling and wiping off oil wash. Maybe at some point I'll highlight some skin or edge highlight some armor and cloak, but facing down the barrel of 50 warriors and knights. It won't be for some time. So I like that Chris has
laid out what he wants to do.
Yeah, like what he considers, I suppose, tabletop.
Well, not just that, but also his goals. So, Sonny, do you have any feedback when it comes to any of this?
Honestly, no, because like the skin is so well done, especially when I look at that picture there. This one's that angle really shows how it's nicely highlighted and everything's recessed well.
Mm-hmm.
And all the colors used here contrast nicely with each other without taking away from anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks clean. It looks serviceable for a non-character level model, and I think it's good. I wouldn't really go further than this if I were trying to do this level of work.
So the only thing that I'll comment on it is the steels all seem very samey. They don't have the same level of depth that the rest of the model is. So when we take a look here, when it comes to this, I think that the furs come up okay, but not the best. It's quite glossy. But look, that's a pretty minor complaint. And the other thing is that fur's allowed to have some level of variation. So if you're using oils, consider not removing all of where you've stained so that you can have some level of variation. When it comes to the skin, I think that the skin's good, but I think that you could go lighter. And I think the other thing is that you want to have just small levels of variation. So when we take a look at this mutated arm here, right? So you see how that little bone spindle's coming out. That could be a different color to the rest of it. Same with these little bone spindles here, so that you've got something visually interesting to look at. Also, you did up this guy's tongue, so I think when it comes to that, you may as well do up this guy's tongue because it's a prominent part of his face. Like, just little small things. So just bam, hit that, and then just hit the teeth. And I'm not suggesting for every single part of the model, but what I am suggesting is just hitting those key areas. Now, with the steel, I do think that you should paint the chainmail here a different color to the rest of it. So I think all of it's good. Just add those little bits of variation. Not a lot, so I'm just saying add one extra color, use the pink from over there to here, and then add one extra metallic. So 2 extra paints, not too much. Penguin said something. Would you like to read it out?
This is for Kit, I think. I mixed skeleton bone and arid sand for my blonde hair. Result vary depending on how much arid sand is added.
All right, so next up we've got Larry, and he's primed. And look, like I said, this is part of the process, right? You get your model built, you get your model primed, and then you get to it.
And it seems he's also done the isolation thing.
Yes, he has. I think he was testing it out.
Yeah, he told me about it when I asked him about how he photoshops
Sure. All right. Well, Kit, you're up.
All right, Balthus. Not my best work, but also not my worst. Considering the relatively little amount of time spent, I'm happy with the results. Just need to decide what color to paint the hero bases. I decided not to do any additional basing. The way they will be stored, i.e. everything's just thrown in a box. Everything would likely get knocked off, and then I'd just have a mess.
All right, well, so when I understand what you're saying, so this is for a board game.
About 400 of them to do.
Yeah. But I would really look at redoing the hair. I think everything else has come up great.
Yeah, I think I would say pretty much the same. It could use a little bit more depth, I think, now that I'm looking at it at this level. But
where do you think it could?
I think shadowing, like I feel like it needs a bit more depth in the shadows. But it's not the worst, I wouldn't say. I quite like the boots as they are, but maybe a little bit more stark contrast between the shadow and the highlight. But other than that, and the hair, I think it's good.
Yes, because like I feel like that's the one thing that's really out of place with it. I think that everything else is quite nice with it, but I think that the hair just sort of brings you out of it. But yeah, so I think that you've done well. I also really like the color choices that you made for this one. I like that there's variation in color. All right, so next up we have some more from Kit.
Hey, guess who's back? Just another quick skinethol to test out a formula to use for all the picked models in Conan.
Mm-hmm.
3-step zenithal with dark violet, violet, and purple, followed up with spraying a few layers of dark skin.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Pick's
this.
muscles are even more exaggerated. I think it'll look great.
I think this does look very nice because you've got the nice purple shadows, which with skin. When you want to shadow skin in because skins are
Very reflective.
ultimately red based because of the blood that shows through underneath, right?
Yeah.
So when you want to shadow skin, you want to be going towards the purples, but purple might make it look very sickly, I guess. So that's why you would push towards like a dark, deeper red purple for purple side. So when you have that, and then you've got the nice little patch of saturated red just to show the blood coming through, and then you've got the flesh tone after that, it makes it look that much more realistic.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great example or formula to use for skin.
Yes, I would agree with that. All right, next up, we've got
our beloved RJ.
RJ Warren has continued with the ridiculous non-metallic metal, and he's really pushed these by adding some rust effect to them by the looks of things.
Is that what it is? Rust effect?
Well, like you see the
It
sort
looks-
of brownish.
Yeah, I thought it was like...
Well, would you
a
like to
completely
read out the
different
post
material.
before we go on?
Doing some work on this guy, decided he'll be he meant to say heal. He'll be one of my entries into a local painting competition next month. Long way to go still.
Well, I think with the weapons, you're pretty much there. Like, I cannot see anything else that you would want done with these weapons.
I think that
Maybe the hilts.
Where are they? Oh yeah, okay.
So along there.
Yeah, I think the hilts are still a work in progress, I think.
Yeah, so the hilts, like, I really like that non-metallic metal. It is it just catches the eye so much.
And I think all this is great. Like, he's got a very good
base
going. Like, of course, he's still gonna add more highlights to the hair, make it more shiny and all that. But a great start.
Yep. Well, so we will we'll move on from this one, but I do want to say that the glow effect is still looking quite nice. So I'm gonna enjoy seeing that one evolve.
Yeah, that one came out really good.
All right, next up we've got
Larry.
Yep.
After much trial and error, I finally got a green marble effect. Now I can finish the base of the dragon. I worry a little bit about it being too bright compared to the model, but could glaze a darker green to tone it down. Plus, I intend to break up the marble into little chunks, like the monster broke the floor over the many years of being too fat. Well, I am curious, why green marble?
Well, it doesn't matter. I think it's a really good effect. So the only thing that I would comment on this, right, is when I take a look at this marbling compared to that marbling. So I take a look at this marbling, and it's quite smooth and quite lovely, but we see a lot of speckling on the other marble. You see right here.
It could be the material that he is marbling over.
Perhaps that's completely
porous.
Yeah.
Because you can see that it looks like cork.
Yeah, it might be cork. So maybe one of the thing. Yeah, I do think it's cork and it's pitted.
So one way to fix that would be to potentially put like a resin, let it set with UV to smooth that out. But I'm not sure because using cork is a very specific choice. So I don't know.
What I would probably do is I'd probably go like this, right? First off I'd use a thin PVA.
Yeah, you could do that.
To do that first, because UV resin, yeah, sure. That's good, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is you don't want resin spilling everywhere. So just put that down first and make sure that it's in a contained area. Because I think
PVA is also a good method.
but
Like
PVA won't fill it
the
as
gaps.
much.
Yeah.
So I think you could do it in 2 stages.
How about spackle or something?
I think spackle would be too rough.
Maybe.
Gesso.
Yeah.
Or however you
Oh yeah, I think it said
Or Mod Podge.
Yeah, no, well, Mod Podge is just PVA once again, but
I think there might be something else in it, but I'm not. Yeah, but it's more
just something
essentially not. The
fill.
only difference between Mod Podge and other stuff is that it includes the agent for it to either be matte or gloss, so it's essentially got a finish added to it, and that's the big difference. Yeah. So matte medium or gloss medium, depending on which version you've got.
Hey Rumble, welcome.
So then next up we have
we got our penguin.
Yes, and Penguin's got 2 posts today.
I have completed my second team, incorporating the Scavenger 2 and Crew 2 sets. My objective was to enhance their specialization and reduce their militant appearance by utilizing more vibrant colors compared to the first crew. Ultimately, the goal is to integrate both male and female crew members into a cohesive unit, tailored to meet the specific requirements of each mission.
Yeah,
nice.
I think that's great.
And we also know that Penguin has been trying to use more real life influences.
So for example, this one right here, people may not know this, but this is the colors of the South African
ambulance team.
Yeah. And
paramedics.
So I think Penguin's going really, really outside of his comfort zone and trying out new things. So I want us to take a little bit of time to give some proper feedback, because I think Penguin's tried really hard. So I'd say the first thing, Penguin, has nothing to do with painting, but everything to do with assembly. So you see these little gaps here and that sort of thing. This could simply, it seems like you're putting a lot of love into these models, so you might as well put that extra time. I'm not saying now with these ones, because these are done, right? I'm saying when you're doing a project like this, put that extra love in and just fill those gaps. Because, you're going to be using these models for how long with those things right there. So then, when it comes to the color choices, I think they're absolutely fantastic. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they are very naturalistic, but they also stand out.
Yeah.
And it just fits very nicely. It's classic Penguin, honestly.
Yeah.
It's very him, and I like that. Yeah, so I would say the models are looking a little on the glossy side.
They are looking a little on the glossy side, but there's one thing that I want to talk about. I think that he's done very well with this model, and it's cornrows. Right? I think that's how it's said.
Yeah, cornrows.
But yeah, and on some of these other ones, but I do think skin is definitely one of the things that you're weakest with. So if you're very weak with skin, there is ways of improving through cheating. One of the ways that you can improve through cheating, and tell us if Penguin says anything in response to any of these. One of the ways that you can improve through cheating is by doing this. What you do is the zenithal with your spray gun. So you just do your usual black, grey, white. Let those natural contrasts stand out. But depending on what skin color you're going to do a pre-shade. So for example, with these black skins, right? One of the things that you can do is do a blue shade over them first to get a much darker color, right? Because it will help neutralize all those
the reds and the
browns, right? And it will give a quite dark coloration. Alternatively, what you can do if you want to sort of keep that up is you can use a magenta or something like that to have a much brighter skin tone. Or if you want to have it be a more sort of mid, is do an under of a green. So this, for example, this brown right here, that would be achieved quite well by doing a blue undershading.
Yeah.
And then just using a brown shading. And you would use the exact same brown as you were using, for example, on these two right here. Right? It does sound a bit like witchcraft, but if you want to use the contrast and that sort of thing, I think that the basings come through very well. And, like, of course, historical wargamers doing well with basing and, you know, other such things makes sense. But I'm trying to think, what else, if anything else, can we give as feedback? Because this has been a big one for Penguin. Is there anything else that you think we can add?
No.
All right. Well, let's move on to our final post.
Oh, yeah. Ducky.
Yes.
So, let's see. I'm posting on behalf of my nephew, Douglas. His Mitsubishi Eclipse is coming along nicely. I'm unsure why he would add the decals before the model was done. He got excited. Not bad considering.
Yeah, exactly.
Not bad considering he is only using the paints which came with the set. It looks very car-like.
Yeah, no, I would say that it looks 100% car-like. There's, when I take a look at it, there's nothing where I go, all right, that looks unusual sort of thing.
Ducky's got a talent.
Yeah, no, I think it looks really good. The only area, if anywhere, which I would say looks a little off is the tail. So you see the tail right here, like that doesn't seem quite parallel.
Oh, not as clean of a line, yeah.
Yeah, because you see very clean lines elsewhere. And this is going to be one of your problems. The cleaner you are, the better you are, the more people are going to notice small errors.
Yeah.
Right? So the better you become, right, the better you have to become. I know it's a bit of an oxymoron, but that's one of the things that you've got to do.
It's it's just the thing with, like, you know, milk and having a black ink in the milk. You don't notice the white milk, you notice the black dot within it. So the more perfect something is, your eye's going to naturally latch on to whatever's out of place.
Exactly.
And that's basically what's happened here.
All right. Well, I think that's it for this one. And it didn't feel nearly as rushed as last time. We had a lot of posts last week. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. And as always,